from a football team hiring a witch to win a game, to a player's foot costing more than your life, here are 20 football facts you didn't know. First up, I bet you didn't know that there's a footballer with no nationality?
What?
Rio Mavuba was literally born on the sea. His birth certificate proudly proclaims born at sea. This guy could have literally been the ultimate free agent.
Officers are on the scene.
Speaking of the sea in our next fact, I bet you didn't know that football can be played outside of our planet? You see, back in 2014, a group of astronauts took football to new heights, or should I say to outer space, because they celebrated the 2014 World Cup by playing a match on the International Space Station.
Great World Cup, have fun and have peaceful games. May the best win and viel Glück.
I sure hope they came with enough footballs. I mean, it's outer space. If you think those astronauts have balls of steel, then get ready to be shocked by our next fact, because I bet you didn't know that 2/3 of the footballs used in the world actually come from one place. Sialkot in Pakistan is responsible for manufacturing nearly 70% of all balls in the world.
Bola Gema, Pakistan is in Sialkot, a city that produces most of the world's footballs, nearly 70%.
That's a lot. And if you think producing balls is easy, then you should ask the first basketball pioneers, because I bet you didn't know that the first ever game of basketball was played with a football. Before they had the iconic orange basketballs, they took a page from our beloved sport. Now, the mascot in our next fact certainly went all out for his beloved team.
Don't f*** with the Swans.
Back in 1999, Cyril the Swan, the feathered mascot of Swansea City, took it to a whole new level by celebrating a goal with a pitch-invading dance. But the authorities weren't too thrilled with his performance. Cyril was eventually banned from the pitch and fined €1,000. Who knew mascots could get in so much trouble? Speaking of trouble in our next fact, the Albanian national team back in 1990 found themselves in a sticky situation at London Heathrow's airport. You see, they misunderstood the term duty-free and left a duty-free shop without paying over $3,000 worth of merchandise. Yeah, those guys literally saw the word free and said, "Say no more, fam, we'll take the whole store." Their language difficulty resulted in about 30 of them being locked up for 24 hours. Now, in our next fact, we meet a footballer who couldn't endure staying away from playing, so he employed extreme measures. Former Aston Villa player Darius Vassell once tried to fix a foot injury with an electric drill. Yep, you heard that right. In an attempt to drain a blood blister under his toe, he grabbed a power drill.
Under the nail, you know, you've got to get into that, to relieve some of that pressure. Unfortunately with me, anything that was touching that nail was excruciating. I kid you not, it was excruciating. So I tried, attempted to do it myself at home. I couldn't do it. I know it sounds funny, I couldn't do it.
Well, let's just say things didn't go as planned, and the resulting infection had him sitting on the sidelines, earning him the nickname the Aston Driller. If you think a player being sidelined for an unnecessary injury ends there, then just ask Danish international Allan Nielsen in our next fact, who while playing for Tottenham Hotspur was sidelined with an injury after his newborn daughter accidentally poked him in the eye. Ouch, that must have hurt, but it must be embarrassing explaining that to your coach. Next up, we have a moment that surely left Gary Lineker feeling a little embarrassed. I bet you didn't know that during the 1990 World Cup match against Ireland, Lineker had an unfortunate accident.
I'd not been very well the night before, but I didn't tell anyone because I wanted to play. I don't know, 15 minutes in, I started cramping again. I was like, oh Christ, I'm in a lot of pain. And I kind of did a lunge at it. And as I did that, I kind of relaxed everything. And it's just gone boof, right? And I've gone, oh my God. And I'm sat there and and I'm on the ground. And I remember this.
Yep, he pooped his pants on the field. I guess his goal wasn't his only highlight of that day. Let's just say it was a shitty situation. And if you think a situation can't get worse, then I bet you didn't know that a team once scored an own goal intentionally to advance in a tricky tie. During the 1994 Shell Caribbean Cup, Barbados had to win by at least 2 goals against Grenada to advance. But if they won by just 1, their opponents Grenada would move on. So, they scored an own goal intentionally to force the match into extra time.
So, Barbados need to take the game into extra time, where bizarrely, goals count double.
Because in that tournament, goals scored in extra time counted as double, which means that they only had to score once in the extra time to get the 2-goal lead. So the Barbadians employed their strategy and guess what? It worked. They scored and advanced to the next round. Talk about an all or nothing strategy. Damn, a strategy couldn't get any more desperate in our next fact, as I bet you didn't know that a team took up supernatural means to enable them to win football games. Back in 2001, Chilean side Deportes Arica decided to take some supernatural measures to avoid relegation by hiring a witch named Elenia Marino to cast out evil spirits before each match. I sure hope it's just for winning the match. Now, hiring a witch to win a game sounds strange, but what could be stranger than a player being traded for shrimps in our next fact? I bet you didn't know that in 2002, Swedish striker Kenneth Christiansen was traded from Vindbjart to Fløya. The twist? He was traded for his weight in fresh shrimp. That's what I call a delicious deal. Speaking of weird transfers, there was another legendary deal from 1921. Yeah, Ernie Blankensop, a left back, was traded from Cudworth to Hull City for just £100, which is around £6,000 now, by the way, and a barrel of ale. Yes, you heard it right. Cheers to that trade. Diving deeper into our next fact, where Switzerland was eliminated from the World Cup despite not conceding a single goal. You heard that right. Switzerland had a bittersweet journey at the 2006 World Cup in Germany. No goals against them, yet they had to pack their bags and head home after losing on penalties to Ukraine.
Ukraine are through to the last 8. Switzerland become the first team to be eliminated at a World Cup finals without conceding a goal.
I guess sometimes defence alone isn't enough to secure victory. And still staying with the FIFA World Cup for our next fact, because I bet you didn't know that the same day the 2002 World Cup final was to be played in Japan, a match between the two lowest ranked teams, Montserrat and the Buddhist Kingdom of Bhutan, was also happening. They called it the Other Final. Bhutan emerged victorious, beating Montserrat 4-0, and made sure they weren't the worst football team in the world.
Even though we are not participating in the main World Cup finals, we are participating in an event that I think has some significance. And that is, it is not only the World Cup that gives joy and pleasure to people, but the sports itself at any level, even at the level of the two weakest member states among the FIFA.
Talk about stealing the spotlight in the tiniest of jewels. Moving on now, and I bet you don't have even the tiniest of ideas, that Italian legend Andrea Pirlo had a surprising career before becoming a footballer. You see, he was once a professional sommelier and served wines at restaurants. Imagine him expertly selecting a bottle of red before gracefully picking out a pass. That's what I call a well-rounded player. I guess there won't be fear in the air whenever the former Italian midfield maestro serves a bottle of wine. But here's a player who's so afraid of flying, he'd rather dribble the ball across continents than catch a flight. We all know Dennis Bergkamp, the Dutch football legend, mostly known during his time at Arsenal, but I bet you didn't know that he literally has a phobia for flying and often misses a handful of away games. It's no wonder that he earned the nickname the non-flying Dutchman. Good luck trying to buy him a flight ticket. There was certainly a stroke of good luck in our next fact, as love can find its way into the most unexpected places. Even a high-end fashion store, Cristiano Ronaldo met his partner, Georgina, while she was working as a shop assistant at the Gucci store in Madrid.
She said when you met it was like love at first sight. You met her in a Gucci store and it was like magic.
Yes, it was.
And Georgina must have felt out of this world when Ronaldo approached her. But here's really what's out of this world in our next fact, as I bet you didn't know that former Arsenal manager Arsene Wenger has an asteroid named after him called 33179 Arsene Wenger, which was discovered on the 29th of March 1998 by Ian P. Griffin. He was a fan of Arsenal Football Club. Now that's one way of showing your passion at no price. But the price of the foot in our next fact will leave your mouth wide open, because I bet you didn't know that Lionel Messi's left foot is really insured for a mind-blowing 900 million euros. Just a foot. And costs more than Cristiano Ronaldo's both legs, which are insured for 100 million euros, and Beckham's face and legs, which are worth over 175 million euros. I mean, Messi probably has the most magical left leg in the world, but I don't think players tackling him would care so much. And I bet you didn't know that some footballers have a huge drug addiction. But if you want to find out more about that, check out the video on the screen now.